very good evening and a warm welcome to our second edition of UBC News Tonight on this 23rd day of October 2021. Now, before we start off this news bulletin, let's first take a look at tonight's headlines.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Now, in tonight's headlines, President Museveni commissions airport health facility. President Museveni flags off 282 vehicles for the COVID-19 campaign. Former presidential secretary buried at Rugarama Hill, Kabale municipality. And in sports, Rajiv Ruparelia wins as NRC title chase goes to decider in Jinja next month. Welcome once again to our second edition of UBC News Tonight. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto and Muhammad Mugalu on sign language. Now, starting off with our first headlining story today, President Yoweri Museveni has directed the Ministry of Health to immediately start conducting COVID-19 mandatory tests at Entebbe International Airport. Now, this was shortly after he commissioned a newly built airport health facility.
Uganda People's Defence Forces UPDF Construction Brigade has built a health facility that is expected to ease the inconvenience of passengers at the main gateway into Uganda and will initially attend to all the arriving passengers. President Museveni asked leaders to internalize the interim strategy and understand the services that must be run by the government.
And when you look at what it will achieve, is tremendous. I told you that the railway is not an area for business, for private business, because we need cheap transport. If we are going to be competitive globally, to produce goods which are cheap, we must have cheap transport. So while we welcome private sector in buses, in what, but for the railway, it should be under us.
He said that the UPDF Construction Brigade should construct all the government-run facilities in order to reduce costs. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja saluted President Museveni for helping Ugandans against COVID-19, adding that the centre cost 15 billion shillings to complete and equip. She said passengers will now be paying 100,000 shillings, down from 250,000 shillings for testing. She said arrangements have been made to ensure tourists are given a dedicated service point in order to prevent delays.
With the government taking charge of this testing exercise, we expect to see a faster, more convenient, more affordable process for all, because some people were complaining. I remember you also told me the same, while protecting the country from any possible importation of the deadly COVID-19 variant into the country.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Jenutha Cheng, said the facility has got 8 PCR machines that can handle 548 samples in 2 hours, with 150 personnel from the Ministry of Health and UPDF who have been deployed at the new facility.
We already have a store on site with 50,000 test kits ready for the passengers. We have a staff capacity of 150 human resources, both UPDF and Ministry of Health staff combined. Out of this, we have 70 laboratory personnel, 30 surveillance teams, 40 data, and 10 concerned with administration and management of the stores. All have been trained and all are ready.
It is now my pleasure to launch the testing by the head staff of the government, not this private, starting from now.
Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Now, President Yoweri Museveni has said that NRM always believes that Africans can solve their problems. Now, he made the remarks at Kololo Independence Grounds, where he handed over 282 double-cabin pickups to chief administrative officers under the COVID-19 Response Fund. We have the details.
President Yoweri Museveni has handed over 282 cars to district chief administrative officers purchased using public donations for fighting COVID-19 pandemic. The vehicles were bought at US$ 22,000 each. The fund, which is chaired by Mr. Emmanuel Katongole, received a total contribution valued at Uganda shillings 69.2 billion. And from this figure, 34.2 billion was received in form of goods in kind.
You guided us that this money should be deployed to areas that are not consumables, to areas that Ugandans can see at least for some time. And the Minister of Health suggested that there is big problem when it comes to local government in reaching out to the patients.
President Museveni commended the COVID-19 National Response Fund for having worked for free. He reiterated that the donations were strictly for corona district surveillance, reminding health officials to use the cars in a good way.
Fight the culture of tendering through middlemen. Don't buy through middlemen. Because now you can see that my approach, if we had taken the other approach of buying from the traders, would have bought 140 vehicles only. Because it is $50,000. This one is less than a half. But now we bought 282 vehicles. So that's culture. So when we were debating what to do with the money, some of the people were talking of vaccines. I said vaccines. How would they go and see the vaccine? If you have vaccine in the government, let the government be the one to buy the vaccines. But the money of the Ugandans, let it go to things which they can see.
Referring to the national budget, the president noted that Uganda has allocated 45 trillion to cover its expenses, of which 15 trillion covers debts out of the 30 trillion actual budget. He paid tribute to Prime Minister Robinah Nabbanja, Prime Minister Emeritus Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, the Minister for Health Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, and Minister of State for Health Margaret Muhanga for the job well done.
Currently, we have 207 patients admitted in health facilities countrywide, and the positivity rate has dropped from 21% to 2% as of today. The dominant variant that is circulating in the country is the Delta variant. The daily average number of confirmed cases over the last 2 weeks has stabilized at 78 cases countrywide, from an average of 1,445 cases at the peak of the second wave in June. Similarly, the daily average number of deaths has declined to between 2 to 5, compared to 57 deaths at the height of the second wave.
Now, former Presidential Secretary Hope Kishande Chivenjire has been laid to rest in Rugarama, Kabale municipality, born to Bishop Festo and Canon Merab Chivenjire on the 19th of August 1949. Hope died on Wednesday at Nakasero Hospital, where she had been admitted. Former Premier Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda represented President Yoweri Museveni at the burial.
Former Presidential Press Secretary Hope Chivenjire has been laid to rest at Rugarama Hill in Kabale municipality. She was described as a patriotic citizen and a Pan-Africanist who served her country with great passion. President Yoweri Museveni was represented by the former Prime Minister and Presidential Envoy on special duties, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda. In his message, Museveni hailed the deceased for her great professionalism that saw the state and media relations improve during her time.
She managed to woo the foreign media, and she dedicated herself to building bridges for a better future. She devoted the prime years of her life to the service of Uganda through her extraordinary career. She worked tirelessly to serve our country in the finest traditions of the civil service.
Security Minister Major General Jim Muhwezi revealed that he owes his life to the deceased's loyalty. Muhwezi, a bush war hero, said Chivengere sheltered him at great personal risk to herself during the 5-year war that brought them to power in 1986. In summoned the Diocese of Kigali, Bishop Right Reverend Engineer George Bagamuhunda urged mourners to utilize their earthly life carefully so as to leave long-lasting legacies. Chivengere started as a teacher before joining the National Resistance Army NRM struggle in 1981. After the war, she worked as the President's press secretary for 16 years before moving on to writing his speeches for 4 years. She then left the government for the African Mission in Sudan. Her next stop was Somalia, with the African Union Mission in Somalia for 5 years.
May her soul continue to rest in peace. Now, moving on, the leadership conflict in Lango Cultural Institution is worrying its subjects. Now, currently the institution is being run by two parallel paramount chiefs, which has caused a lot of confusion, with many stranded as to who to pay their allegiance to. The two cultural factions are Lango Cultural Foundation under Yosam Odu Ebi and Tekwaro Lango and Dr. Engineer Moses Michael Odongo Okune, the former executive director of Uganda Road Fund. This gave birth to two parallel factions in the institution that has been involved in power conflict for over 4 years now. Take a look.
The Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, has met clan chiefs in Lao Chiefdom over continued conflicts as to who is the right leader. The conflict is between the camp of Yosa Moduri B, who was gazetted in 2019 by the Ministry of Gender, and Tekwaro Lao under Dr. Engineer Moses Michael Odongo Kune, the former Executive Director of Uganda Road Fund. Although the cultural institutions were abolished in 1966, the current government, on the basis of rights to culture, restored the institutions in 1993. Subsequently, the clan heads selected Yosa Moduri B as the paramount chief of Lao Cultural Foundation in 2001. But in 2017, a section of clan leaders also elected Dr. Moses Michael Odongo Kune as the paramount chief of Tekwaro Lango. Lao Cultural Foundation, Muzee Yosa Moduri B, and his former premier, Dr. Richard Nam, then ran to court to annul Okune's election, but the application was dismissed with the cost at Lira High Court. Since then, the two cultural factions, Lao Cultural Foundation under Yosa Moduri B and Tekwaro Lao under Engineer Moses Michael Odongo Kune, has been involved in power conflicts for over 4 years. After receiving several complaints from both factions, President Museveni directed the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, to rein in the matter. Amongi, after meeting 118 out of 149 Gazette clan heads of Lao from the two factions, confirmed Yosa Moduri B as the legitimate paramount chief of Lao after being gazetted by the government of Uganda, basing on the Cultural Law Amendment Act of 2003.
That we report to His Excellency the President their resolution, but also notify security agencies so that everybody in this sub-region now knows that the clan leaders have endorsed the position that the gazetted cultural leader is Yosam Odur.
The position, however, has been contested by the Kunes camp.
And I'm supporting Dr. Engineer Michael Odongokune because he was elected by the clan leaders during daytime. It is Udur Yusam who took Odongokune to court, and the court said you cannot remove the power given to him.
People should be met separately, beginning with the cabinets. Cabinets on both sides, and we talk from different sides, met separately, and thereafter.
Now, being born without anal opening is a challenging situation, although it is new to many. Now, it is difficult for one to identify a person using a colostomy bag, for it is a private situation which needs a sensitization. Now, UBC TV interacted with some of the affected persons and doctors, hence the need of knowing more about colostomy.
Motherhood is celebrated world over, more especially immediately after birth of a baby, and more so for a first-time mother. However, on realization that the newly born baby has a body defect, the happy mood normally evaporates. Gratification is quickly replaced by anxiety and austerity.
So we normally receive these babies. They have different cases. Other babies are brought in with the eye or intestinal obstruction, so we end up by giving them colostomy. But for us nurses on the ward, as we receive these babies, these mothers really are so scared. They can't even know these conditions. By the time the baby is brought in and they are preparing this baby maybe for theater to bring out a colostomy, it's so scary. So like for us nurses, we have a big part to play, whereby we really need, maybe in case the dad is also there and the mom, we make them sit down like nurses. We are counselors, by the way. We really talk to them, because even as nurses, we are mothers on the ward. Bring out a baby's colostomy or a colon out, really, it's not easy.
One of the challenges is when a child is born without stool and urine discharge opening. It is for this reason that a pediatrician at Mulago Hospital, Dr. Kakembo Nasa, says it is crucial for mothers to monitor the performance of their baby's organs before being discharged from hospital.
We get these babies soon after birth. That's when they don't have, when they are born without an opening. What we do at that time, we create a temporary opening on the abdomen within maybe a week of life. This allows us to nurse these babies, allow them grow, and by around 6 to 8 months, that's when we go ahead and create a normal opening for them. And after that, we give them an allowance of 1.5 months to 2 months, and we close the colostomy. Literally, we are talking about the whole first year of life. So if a baby is given a colostomy by 1 week of birth, by the time they make a year of life, we should have closed this colostomy.
Kakembo says this situation that is clinically known as colostomy can be permanent or temporary depending on whether it is given a remedial measure, adding that colostomy has a documented surgical procedure.
A colostomy per se, depending on the nature of the stool which comes out. Sometimes the stool is so acidic that it burns the skin around the stomach, and even the tape which is on the bag, it can also burn the skin. So it's one of the complications patients talk about, peristoma, excoriation or ulceration of the skin around the colostomy, and it's very painful. So it's one of the challenges patients face with stomas.
Kakembo Nasa, a pediatric surgeon at Mulago Hospital, says much as there is resentment by society, a colostomy is a life savior.
Once you are given a colostomy, that means we have short-circuited the normal route for passing stool. So rarely will a patient get an urge to go to the toilet, because this stoma has no brakes. It is open all the time, so it just pours out continuously, and the gas also just comes. So it's one of the major challenges patients actually complain, because it can decide to pour when you are in public. The gas might just escape when you are in public.
Nampala Martha is a mother with phone nursing a baby undergoing a colostomy operation. Martha discovered that her baby was not passing out stool on the second day after giving birth.
It's logic that everyone has to pass out susu and pupu the next day or that very night, that very moment. But my baby didn't. I asked my mom, I was with my mom because she was the one who was showering him. So I asked her, why is my baby not passing out? And she was like, no, he will, don't worry, he will pass out. But me, I was not certain. As a mother, I was not certain. I was not comfortable with it. But then when she left, hours kept on going while checking the pamper. Feeling the pamper was not, there is no susu at all. And then the baby, I was feeding the baby, you get. I got so concerned, and in the openings of the body, the nose, the mouth, the ears, there are some things coming out, greenish in color. And asking myself, why are these things coming out? Are they normal to a baby? So I had to call in a nurse.
Being a first-time mother, Martha says she questioned God for giving her a child without an opening.
I was imagining things like, how can this happen? And most of all, to my baby. What went wrong? What did I do wrong? After taking the baby to the hospital, they gave us an ambulance. They took the baby to the hospital. They worked on the baby. They brought out the colostomy out here so that he can pass stool. I looked at my baby. I was so disfigured. It was hard. It was so hard.
Dr. Kakemba recommends that patients should honor their hospital visits so that colostomies are reversed in time. However, there are patients who fail to get stoma reversals, and this leads to children living with their stomas, and this comes with challenges.
Children who have grown with stomas, many times they don't go to schools because they are smelling, and fellow children are not comfortable staying with them, playing and sitting with them in class. Even the school teachers are not comfortable with children who have stomas. To make matters worse, we have seen fractured families where the husbands abandon their families because a child is given a colostomy. So our goal is to reverse this colostomy as soon as it has served the purpose.
The deputy in charge, pediatric surgical ward, Muchimba Colastica, says mothers are scared on informing them that their babies are to undergo a colostomy operation. Scholastica says it is a challenging situation, and as nurses, they console the mothers that having a colostomy is not a permanent situation.
They should not just leave their babies anyhow that it's a burden. No, it's not a burden. It's just a temporary. It's not a permanent condition that their baby will be like that for good. No. Yeah, so by the end of their stay with us, they are really happy, and they are happy mothers. Because before that, they are really miserable. Others are crying. And other men say that those are curses from your family. No, they talk of family planning. Since when you are here, this is a teaching word. Really, as a mother, you feel it. So most of them have been with us, and they are happy by the time of discharge. When they discharge them, they come back in the clinic, they look for us nurses appreciating, and they are very happy.
Public education about colostomy is more important than never before, though it is a normal documented surgical procedure. It can be traumatizing for a mother at any level. Sandra Kahunde, Marian Nachitene, UBC News.
Thank you, Sandra Kahunde and Mario Nachitene, for that insightful report. We do appreciate that. Now, moving on, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, has urged agricultural extension workers to execute their duties to the delight of the farming community. Nankabirwa was meeting Chiboga district farmers.
The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, has urged farmers to utilize agricultural extension workers for better farming skills.
Know it all because your parents were farmers, so you learned. Things change, new technologies come in. So today's lesson has been good, that people have been able to learn how to use tools, how to use these trained extensionists. So we've moved around the banana plantation, we've moved around the coffee plantations, we've seen the mixed crop plantation here on my farm, which is more than 15 acres.
Nankabira, who was addressing Kiboga farmers, asked for continued desensitization of farmers in the district to embrace modern technology for better produce. She said that farmers need to give enough time to their gardens for improved harvests.
Gaps, which I had to fill, and now I'm beginning to see the yields. So all this is very important. And it is also very key that we keep track on the farmers. We need to have constant monitoring. Don't go there once. The district extension service providers have to make this a job. The gardens are their offices. They have to make this as job because they are paid monthly.
Kiboga District Agriculture Officer Walatala James asked government to increase the number of agricultural extension workers to commensurate to the population of farmers.
For example, I operate plant clinics. I'm a plant doctor with my colleagues. So I have to operate it in the Oro district. So you might be in Mwanga and somebody needs here. You've made a program with very many people. So by the time you ride coming to this farmer, already he or she has faced a challenge. So another challenge is coming with extension farmer ratio. We are fewer than what the farmers demand from us.
Kiboga residents applaud the minister for the sensitization. Robert Katamba for UBC News.
The resident city commissioner Arua City, Alice Akelopio, has urged people in West Nile to be cautious of online businesses. Akelo says many people do not know how to vet such businesses and they have fallen victim of these unscrupulous online dealers in which they have lost money to the schemers. Now, this was during a launch of West Nile Regional Pickup Point for Jumia in Arua City.
Online theft has become one of the biggest challenges through which many Ugandans have lost money to thieves. Some of the fraudsters use identities of prominent companies to lure people into accepting their business ideologies.
We need to vet the online people we are dealing with. You don't just go anyhow. There are so many fraudsters in the internet world now. So you don't just go. If you send your money to fraudsters, of course, you are going to lose it all. So let's vet the online people we are dealing with.
In the wake of COVID-19, many people have made use of online businesses and innovation that Arua City leaders want to encourage. The RCC said it is an important initiative for people to embrace internet-based businesses in order to make government investments in the ICT sector become a transformation center in their lives of the citizens.
For the people of West Nile, there's a big plant for ICT being built in Koboko for West Nile. So with the time, West Nile is going to get out of this. By next year, September, the West Nile region will be connected to the national grid. So all these problems will be history.
And you find that we up and downs caused by COVID and what have you, find that business is always interrupted. And it is through online that we can continuously do our businesses and effectively receive our goods on time.
The West Nile Regional Jumia manager explains the reason as to why the new branch in Arua City is going to be very vibrant.
Jumia started 9 years ago in Kampala as a briefcase company, but over the years has grown from operating within Central Business District of Kampala out to the whole of Kampala district, covering the whole of Central region, and have mastered delivery of packages to our consumers in those areas. And right now, we are putting our map and stamping it in the upcountry far and wide to every corner of Uganda.
The launch of West Nile Regional Office in Jumia is one thing that many people have been longing for in the sub-region.
It's actually our pride that Jumia has opened finally offices in Western region in Arua City. You know, going from here to Kampala to bring goods and stuff like that is always very hectic because of the distance.
There are things you really want to get from outside. You've seen the Europeans using, you've seen the Americans using, but then if you talk about global shipping, then I think Jumia has actually brought the market so close to us. That to me is the blessing that West Nile in particular has been looking for.
I think it's going to be easier for us to shop online and to get whatever we desire.
Online business going far and wide. Now, moving on, Mbale city leaders and all the stakeholders have launched a Keep Mbale Clean campaign with the intention for the new city to regain its lost glory as the cleanest town in East and Central Africa. While officiating at the launch of the campaign, Hamada Washaki, the city resident commissioner, highlighted corruption as the major cause of failure to manage garbage in the new city.
Leaders and stakeholders in Mbale have embarked on cleaning the new city by launching Keep Mbale City Clean campaign. Speaking during the launch of the campaign in Industrial City Division, Ahmad Awashaki, the Mbale City Resident Commissioner, pointed at corruption as a key contributing factor to poor garbage management.
We have a problem of corruption in doing our program. You give somebody fuel, instead of carrying garbage, he carries only one trip, drains the fuel, and then he packs the vehicle and says there is no fuel. Therefore, I've urged the city engineer to ensure that he maintains the local book where each vehicle, when it's going down, it indicates the mileage, and when it comes back, it indicates the mileage driven. That is how we shall manage to carry this garbage.
Meanwhile, the city town clerk David Chasanku stressed that the campaign is targeting to make Mbale city shine and attractive to tourists so as to boost revenue collection.
We are intending to attract more people to come to the city because the clean city attracts people. It attracts tourists, it attracts business people, it attracts those who just want to come and have leisure in the weekend. But when the city is so dirty, we are just chasing away people.
The representative of Patriotic Youth Volunteers, Makongo Veronica, challenged the youths to engage in the campaign that is set to boost the cleanliness of the city.
As a youth, why don't you come up and show the elders that what I'm doing is wrong? Youths all over, I call you, please. If I can make it from Tororo to come to Mbale and clean Mbale city, how about you who is within Mbale? Why don't you come and join me so that we see that Mbale town is clean?
The mayor, Kasim Wamatabu Namugali, reveals that his leadership has embarked on major priority areas that will improve the status of Mbale city.
We came with 3 things. One is cleaning the city. The second one is working on the road network. The third one is locking the revenue leakages so that money can get its way on the account of the council and then service can be given to the people. We want to run with this until we ensure all the heaps of garbage is out.
Jethro Kasaiji, Adia Nakuti, UBC News. The Ministry of Land and Urban Development, with support from the European Union and German Development Agency GES, is implementing a project aimed at improving access to land as a key factor of production. Now, the aim is to ensure that vulnerable and marginalized groups like women have access to land in order to fight poverty and hunger.
Land is one of the key factors of production, and almost all sectors of the economy depend on it. It is against this backdrop that the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, with support from the European Union and German Development Agency GIZ, is implementing a project aimed at improving access to land. The Responsible Land Policy in Uganda project aims at ensuring that vulnerable people and marginalized groups like women have access to land as one of the strategies to fight hunger and poverty. The Ministry of Lands and Urban Development is also promoting responsible governance of investments in land.
This project is going to build capacities for the local investors to be able to manage the investments they've started, and also even capacities of government the local governments, the district land boards, the area land committees in matters of land management and administration.
According to Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, improving land governance helps in proper planning of investments, especially in the agricultural sector.
It's going to help, one, the investors, two, the communities, three, even the government, for the investors to be able to access land. When we know that this land has been earmarked for particular investments, then these investors now will be able to approach government either through UIA or through Uganda Land Commission, and then they will be availed the land that is ready for investment.
The ever-growing population is increasing demand for land, and therefore improving land governance is critical. Adiana Kute, UBC.
In a pure show of solidarity and desire to make people jovial and in the process maybe increase their lives even more by just a few days, Lela Foundation is treating 80 elderly people to a bash in Jinja. Now these have been flagged off and will stay a couple of days in the eastern Ugandan city that is high on tourist attractions.
Lela Foundation has inked its name in history through its generosity that has last time out ferried 80 elderly people for a day out in Jinja City.
The only purpose of this holiday is nothing but for you to have a good time with us. We want us to enjoy, we want us to dance. We don't want you to sleep early today. We want you to have the best time. And the only thing we want to tell you is that we truly love you, and Lela Foundation is going to support you.
The works of this charity organization, Lela, have left many emotional because of actions that are purely biblical.
The people who are rich in the Bible are rich because of the blessings of God, but the blessings should be used to help those who are poor, those who are disadvantaged, not to help your family alone.
They do things differently. We have seen many charity organizations around, but I have seen Lela Foundation does it differently.
Lela Foundation, that caters for more than 400 needy people, is part of the bigger Tiru Party Development Uganda Limited, whose genesis stems from a routine visit that proved further need, especially in slum areas.
Charity from the Heart is an idea that came 5 years ago. We decided to move from slum to slum in Naguru to give blankets to our dear judges, because our grandfather, if he were alive then, would have completed 100 years. We reached there, we went home to home, met several judges. Unfortunately, those judges have passed away today. We've lost over 25 judges in this pandemic. Excluding that, we've lost over 30 to 35. So one of the judges that we went to receive told me, "I want sugar." And I said, I came to give her a blanket, but sugar seemed to be a necessity, which they probably didn't have. When we got back home, I told my father, "Daddy, that food is a need. We need to do something about this." So we discussed as a family, and they said, "Go ahead. Let us start giving food packages to our judges." Ever since then, we've seen miracles. We've seen judges that were bedridden, that are back to their feet. One of them is the judge in pink.
Amidst questioning government policy in regards to access of elderly funds, the beneficiaries of this Lela generosity applaud the charity organization.
Okwogera ku kibiina kino naali badde nfukamidde wansi naye ebyuma babisetinze nga sobola kufukamira wansi.
The elderly on this trip to places like the source of the Nile have been selected from several Kampala locations, including Naguru, Luzira, Chebando and Lukuli. John Burns, Sentamo, reporting.
Thank you, John Burns, for that story. Now, COVID-19 has disrupted the education system in the country, and this has made school-going children to stay home for close to 2 years. Now, it is from this backdrop that Africa Code Week, in empowering students and teachers with digital skills to create, innovate, and also become problem solvers. Now, Africa Code Week is the largest digital skills empowerment program in Africa, initiated by SAP, locally sponsored by the Irish Embassy, Africa Code Week has impacted over 20,000 students in Uganda, with over 1,500 teachers and volunteers empowered since 2015. The project targets children from the ages of 8 till 18 years and are empowered at no cost with digital e-learning tools for effective delivery of content and technology use.
In Africa, and we've been empowering children, we've been empowering teachers, we've been empowering volunteers with digital skills to prepare them for the future. We know that technology is the future, and we live in a global village, and we are trying to make sure that we all have the skills needed to be able to get exposed to these skills, and also to be able to explore the different opportunities that comes with digital skills and technology. The young adults reach out to their teachers, who are also part of the skills, because we understand that teachers have the ripple effect. Teachers are the ones who are in direct contact with the students, with the children in class, and if we equip them with the right tech skills, then they are the best people to impart these skills and this knowledge to the young generation.
They are encouraging young learners, young children, to learn how to program, how to make computers to do things instead of just using the computers. Our learners have been at home, and their teachers were not able to reach many of them. So the learners had to be engaged through different programs. Instead of them being at home watching TV only, initiatives like this help the learners to do something. You see, we have when the schools are open, the learners learn the SST, the science, the mathematics, but programs like this help the learners to apply some of the knowledge and also to innovate. So as a teacher, I'm very happy and I'm very glad to be part of this event.
Well, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return with business news.
Today in history.
On 23rd October 1965, the Legislative Council of Bunyoro Kingdom announced new security measures in the kingdom. This followed the killing of 7 men, including a sub-county chief, at Ndaiga at the beginning of the month. The Rukurato announced that anybody who entered the territory of the kingdom with an intention to settle there must be checked by the security of the kingdom and registered as a measure to curb insecurity. And that day was today in history.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175*94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Hello, it's me again, Jenny Kafulua Shares. In my other video, I showed you how to open an SCD account using MTN Momo. Now let me tell you about the MTN Shares offer. You can apply for MTN Uganda shares for as low as 100,000 shillings. And the offer even gets better when you apply using MTN Momo. Because for every 100 shares you apply for, you get 10 extra shares. Enyongeza for free. Yes, it's true. There's no limit to the number of shares you can apply for. No. So are you ready to apply for some MTN shares? It's very easy. Just get your MTN phone and follow these very simple steps. First, dial *165 *65 hash or use my MTN app. Then select 2 to apply for MTN shares. Select 1 to apply for MTN shares for self. Your SCD account and broker details will be instantly shown to you. Please reply with option 1 to confirm. Select the option of the number of shares you want to apply for, then enter your PIN to authorize. Finally, please select option 1 to confirm that you have read the prospectus and accept the terms and conditions. You will now receive an SMS confirming your application. That's it. You will now have to wait a bit for the approval of your transaction. The shares allocated to you will be confirmed after the offer period closes by the end of November. Oh wait, before I go, let me remind you about the terms and conditions. Please read them and the prospectus before you apply. And if you need any further assistance, go to any MTN service center, a Stanbic Bank branch near you, or a licensed stockbroker.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back from that break, and we're glad that you're still watching UBC News Tonight. Now into our business news. Makerere University has signed a memorandum of understanding with Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute, Jinja, to improve on research and renovations of the industry. Now this has been disclosed by the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, and Namutosi Mariam Amori, the acting principal, Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute, Jinja, at the university. We have details.
Mutually beneficial collaboration between our two institutions.
Thank you so much.
For the good of our country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chancellor. We look forward to a very healthy academic and collaborative relationship between UHTGI and Makerere University.
Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute, Jinja, has signed a memorandum of understanding with Makerere University to give opportunity to students studying tourism to practice their skills, carry out research and improve service delivery of the industry.
It work together to develop that industry. So Makerere University, which has got a department that actually trains people in tourism, is very well placed to work with the Institute of Tourism so that together we can develop the skills for the human source that is required for this very important industry that for Uganda is still underdeveloped.
Professor Barnabas Nawangwe explains how tourism students have been able to endure the COVID-19 pandemic.
Uganda has a huge potential for tourism, but we have not developed that industry well enough. I would like to believe that this institute is going to help us do that, and also the people who are working here on tourism should be researching into these issues. Why is it that we have such huge potential and yet we are not exploiting it to the maximum? What do we need to do in order for more tourism to be there, to look at all the unique things that we have in this country apart from the national parks?
The acting principal Uganda Hotel and Tourism Institute Jinja, Namutos Mariam Amori, says the partnership is beneficial to the institute, especially the tourism course students.
Today we've signed a memorandum of understanding with Makerere University, and to us a very significant step in ensuring quality in our institution and also achieving the milestones that we have to becoming a center of excellence.
Mariam says the institution and students are undergoing modest challenges that are affecting the education sector.
Also, the students, you sense they are stressed. Even when we try to train them online, you find that many of them are unable to join online training, citing a lack of data or internet, poor internet connection. So basically there's been an effect on the students.
Kenneth Tanaba for UBC News.
Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial star 185 star 7 hash and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back from that break. Now we take a look at what is happening in the international scene. Youth representatives from 44 African countries attended the 6th China-Africa Youth Gala, which was held in China's capital, Beijing, from Tuesday to Friday. A headline project for China-Africa Youth Exchange, the gala was sponsored by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and organized by the China Lela Foundation with the goal of promoting China-Africa friendship among the next generation. During the 4 days, a youth representative toured the city and experienced traditional Chinese culture through calligraphy classes and tea ceremonies. The African attendees also visited the Museum of the Communist Party of China, CPC, and Beijing's suburb Yangon to learn more about China's progress in rural revitalization. They also visited one of the venues for the upcoming Winter Olympics.
Try to promote China in different ways, and secondly is maybe to be more active with the Chinese youth to exchange cooperation ideas.
Right, now we take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. The 2021 Kabalega Rally has climaxed with Rajiv Ruparelia upsetting the odds on to the top podium position. The rally was flagged off by the Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom Prime Minister Andrew Kutaga. Take a look.
Saturday morning found many Ugandans at Nika Resort Hotel in Hoima. These were there purposely for the Kabalega rally that was flagged off by Bunyoro Kitara Prime Minister Andrew Kutaga.
I have received the requests from the various districts of Bunyoro requesting that this event should be also held in the other parts of the kingdom, so that the money which comes in as a result of this activity can be very well distributed within the kingdom.
When the action rolled off, the crowds enjoyed thrills of the drivers, many of whom were daring. the end of several grueling kilometers, Rajiv Ruparelia drove home victorious and was followed by Duncan Mubiru and Ronald Sebuguzi. Omar Mayanja finished fourth, while Hassan Alwi and Fred Busulwa followed in close pursuit. This Kabalega rally was much anticipated because of the competition at the top in search of the National Rally Championship crown. But though the event was momentous, the search for the National Rally Championship title is still on and will be decided in Jinja next month. All eyes then, like has been today, will be on the current leader Duncan Mubiru and his close pursuer Hassan Alwi. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
Now, Uganda Baseball and Softball Association has concluded its Jackie Robinson Memorial with the final clinic at Kitanti Primary School. Now, this summed up all the association has been up to and attracted several high-ranking American embassy officials. Take a look.
After visits to several Uganda locations including Lira, Mbarara and Tororo, Uganda Baseball and Softball Association has climaxed celebrations to honor the legacy of Jackie Robinson. Robinson was the first African-American to feature in Major League Baseball for Brooklyn Dodgers. That feat changed not only his life, but also impacted on almost all other players and people after him.
Yeah, I mean, it was just that. It's basically to show that, you know, for a lot of young Americans or young kids in every country, sport is a way for them to rise up and to maybe escape very difficult times or coming from very poor communities. And so part of it is working hard and showing that as an example of how you can use that. But it's also the example that Jackie Robinson set for, like I said, not just on the sporting field, not just on the baseball field, but in his life, about how he interacted with people and how he impacted them, that anybody can do that with the right attitude.
It's for that reason that many countries, including Uganda, honor his memory through various avenues, pronounced of which in Uganda is clinics to spread the sport.
Most important thing is to see whether the kids have the intuition skill, which is called the natural talent. And from what we have seen, the general country, these kids have skill.
The American community in Uganda and Tatan Banners Athletics Club played a key part during this period that has realized many first-time baseballers across the country.
We wouldn't be here surely because they are the ones who touched in the pockets to make sure this program runs, and the kids have really benefited a lot all over the country.
Wherever Uganda Baseball and Softball Association went during this exercise, the kids were excited.
I have learned that if you're holding a bat, you hold it like this. And if you're going to hit it, you put your feet like this. And if you're going to hit it, you lift your leg and then you hit.
Plan by the association is to keep track of those mentored while targeting representation at the 2028 Olympics. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
Well, baseball and softball, a new sport in the country, but hopefully we will embrace this particular sport. UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but before we close down, let's first take a look at our headlines tonight.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
And in tonight's headlines, President Museveni commissions airport health facility. Museveni flags off 282 vehicles for the COVID-19 campaign. Former presidential secretary buried at Rugarama Hill, Kabale municipality. And in sports, Rajiv Ruparelia wins as NRC title chase goes to decider in Jinja next month.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
We'd like to thank you so much for your company this evening. Do enjoy more of UBC Television's programming. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto and Muhammad Mugalu. We wish you a lovely night.
Hello, it's me again, Jenny Kafulua Shares. In my other video, I showed you how to open an SCD account using MTN Momo. Now let me tell you about the MTN Shares offer. You can apply for MTN Uganda shares for as low as 100,000 shillings. And the offer even gets better when you apply using MTN Momo, because for every 100 shares you apply